Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. My name is Jeremiah, and by now you either know me or you're getting to know me, but it has been a minute, and we need to talk about that. Now, at some point in your life, you're going to face some setbacks, and recently I had a setback of my own. I think it was August 28th or 29th. I'll probably correct myself here in a minute, but uh, I was going to the gym just like any other day. I would go to the gym, and it was arm day or chest day, upper body, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm gonna go a little bit heavier. I'm gonna try to PR. My regular bench press is about 225 pounds. I decided to go about 10 pounds heavier, 235, when my grip slipped. No, I wasn't doing suicide grip. But my grip slipped and I dropped 235 pounds on my chest. And let me tell you, pain was pain is an understatement. Panic, just sheer utter fear emanating through my body, and yeah, so much pain. But I'll be honest with you, that was the beginning, and I want to say it put me on my ass. Okay, I broke a rib, I fractured a rib, and I I was scared. I had to well, one, I had to get the weight off of me. I literally had to roll the weight off me. Nobody helped me. Nobody lifted a finger. And unfortunately, I didn't have anybody to really spot me. I was alone when I was working out, and to be honest with you, really, really fearful for my life because I don't know what happened. Um, it was just a shock. It was a hit straight to the chest. And in doing that and having that happen to me, it took me back. It really took me back. So, in today's episode, we're going to talk about um, building resilience, bouncing back from setbacks. This one is about overcoming those setbacks. We all know that adversity is a part of life, and you have to overcome adversity in order to build or rebuild oneself. For me, I feel that in order to truly overcome adversity, in order to really deal with the setbacks of life, you have to face them head on. You have to allow yourself to fully recover. And not only that, but just take a step back, right? We're so busy trying to progress forward. We're so busy trying to move in one direction, constantly trying to move forward. But very rarely do we really take a step back and really look at the big picture, really look and dissect our progress and try to appreciate the road we've traveled. So in this episode, you're going to hear a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different types of lessons from figures like Thomas Edison, Nelson Mandela, and a few other ones like Oprah Winfrey. So these are just some adverbs or pieces of advice that actually help um, when facing adversity or having to deal with failure or even having to just swallow some of life's bullshit. And the one thing I tell people is that when you're faced with that kind of how do I put this? When you're faced with the bullshit that life deals you, you can either run from it or face it head on. And I chose to face it head on, but at the same time, other things got left in the wayside. I didn't really get to do my podcast. Here we are. It's uh, December, right? And this is going to be the last podcast for the year. Now, 2026, I'm going to come back stronger, right? I'm going to focus more on the podcast. Um, I actually left a lot of episodes kind of waiting in the wind. Work was a priority. I had to focus on my job because unfortunately, this is not what I do full time. I wish I could. I wish I could really lock in and focus on the podcast, but um, what hurt me was being out of work for about a week and then having to play catch up and then really focusing on what my job was asking from me in terms of performance. So, that being said, for those of us who have been on that journey, right? For those of you who have followed me on my path, and for all the listeners that do listen and have subscribed, this is just a thank you to you as well, because without you, the listener, without you, my people, my friends, my family, people who've clicked on this link or clicked on this video, or people who even share what I ask them to, or if you're sharing this video to a friend or a family member who needs to hear it, thank you, because for me, this is a dream, right? I'm chasing my dream. My goal is to be a full-time podcaster who eventually, makes money off of sponsors and can reach people. My biggest goal is to be able to reach an audience, reach people, and spotlight people like yourself, people who go through things, people who have been through things, and of course, like minded people who are on the same journey, on the same path. So, thank you to everybody who listens from me, my family, and to yours. I can't I can't thank you enough because this is something I want to continue to do. But that being said, diving right in, I'm going to go ahead and talk about you know what I've been through in the past few months, and what I've had to deal with. Just from the struggles of having to be present on TikTok, present at work. I do some TikToks. It's just some funny stuff. Just some goofball shit that I do on my TikTok page. Mainly for work, but for fun when I'm at the gym. Whether it be some silly dances or some silly lip sync stuff. But for me, I feel like what I've really focused on is my physique. I mean, I'm stronger, I'm yoked, and I've dropped some poundage as well too. I started the year off this year at 235 pounds. I went down to 195, and currently sitting at 198 right now, possibly on a full tummy. I don't know, maybe. But in any case, there's been a lot of personal growth as well as a lot of, physical growth. I'm doing my best to, just be here for my family as well too. So the first thing I want to highlight is resilience isn't about avoiding storms. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. And the way I see it, um, most of us we avoid that painful moment, right? Whether it be rejection, whether it be having to stand up for yourself, or having to face something uncomfortable, like um, you know having to approach somebody that you need to approach, like maybe your boss, maybe it's an old friend, right? Maybe they're texting you and you haven't talked to this person in forever. So now all of a sudden you have this confrontation. Most of us avoid confrontation or even resolution from confrontation. So what I like to tell people is if there's something you're avoiding, it's because you have to face it. And if it keeps coming to you, jump at the chance to really face that uncomfortable moment, because that's where it builds character with you. For me, I never wanted to get hurt at the gym. I knew it was an eventuality, I knew it was going to happen. But I remember benching, and my wrist basically, when I was pushing up, my wrist did that. It like kind of gave in, and my grip was not strong enough to keep the weight upright when my wrist tilted, and flinched. And I remember that weight just coming down, and I heard a break almost immediately on my rib right here on the left hand side. And I just remember just hot, searing pain in my chest, and I was struggling to breathe. And I had to I had to call out for help. I looked around. People were on their headphones. Like nobody was gonna help me. Nobody was gonna save me. And that scared the shit out of me. And I thought to myself, I need to get out of this. But it was so hard to think in those moments because of the amount of pain my body was going through. And I remember tilting the weight off to my side, and because the bar was already so low that um, it like pinned up against the floor, so I had a tilted bar leaning up against an already broken rib, and I had to roll that off of me and get that onto the floor to then sit up and try to catch my breath, which I don't know if you've ever broken a rib. I don't know if I can't even talk right now. I don't even know if you've ever broken a rib, but if you have, God bless your heart and your soul, because it is one of the most painful breaks I've ever had. And then not to mention having the wind knocked out of you and having to try to struggle for breath or struggle for air. It was one of these moments. It was one of these things that my mind had to like, okay, stay calm, don't panic, and you know, just really compartmentalize the entire situation. Focus on your breathing. Focus on trying to regulate your heart. When the paramedics got to the gym, because I saw somebody walking across, and I was like, "Am I hallucinating?" I saw a guy walking in scrubs. I guess he was coming from the hospital. He was literally gonna be like he was walking in front of me in scrubs, and it turns out that guy was like a surgeon. And he sees me grabbing my chest and breathing heavy, and I'm like, oh, just this guttural like, oh, trying to breathe type sound. And he looks at me. He's like, "Are you all right?" Like I'm like, "No," and I tell him that the weight fell on me. I point at the weight, and he's like, "Oh, geez, you need help." And he grabs somebody from the front desk. It was actually John from TrueFit. Really good guy. I got to talk to him afterwards, but nonetheless, John calls the paramedics. Paramedics come in, take my vitals. Really cool guys. I even got a selfie with him. And I luckily I was okay. They took my vitals. They said, "Hey, you're gonna need to go to the hospital," and I could either take the ambulance, but it was gonna be like I have to wait for an ambulance to get there. And my wife showed up out of the blue. Oh yeah, because I remember texting her. I was like, "Hey, I'm sorry. I think I injured myself. I'm at the gym. I think I might have broken a rib. Please don't be mad at me." And she's like, "What the fuck?" I guess she raced to me, which, in hindsight was probably not the safest, but I'm grateful that you were there. Thank you so much, Yvette, for being there for me. Um, my son was concerned, but he was in school that day. He was in college, and yeah, I had to take some time off of work. I was out of work for about a week, and I mean, it hurt my job a little bit because I wasn't there to make any sales. I'm a salesperson, so 100% of my job is showing up, literally showing up every day, you know, making connections with people, and performing, right? And because I'm in sales, um, if I miss a day or if I'm not there for a long period of time, my cells are going to be taken by other sales associates, and that's just the name of the game. So, needless to say, that put me back. That set me back quite a bit. Now, I'm telling you all this because this was the catalyst to losing control, right? Um, Not only was my ego uh, demolished, um, I questioned myself in my day to day life. I had to move slowly. I had to recover quietly. And there was a big tucking of the tail, so to speak. And it was humbling because I went from being a strong, virile man who can, deadlift and lift heavy weights to being a man who depended on others, a man who depended on his family, and a man who needed help getting up, lying down, going to the restroom, even, which I don't know. I don't know if this has ever been discussed, but when you break a rib, even pooping hurts. Yeah, even even pooping, coughing, sneezing. Oh my God, sneezing. If you've ever broken a rib um, during allergy season, I'm so sorry. Like that's the worst. But I'd say all this because when you have that major setback or that injury that puts you on your ass, you start looking at the bigger picture and you really start to ask yourself, can I continue doing this? Can I get back to where I was? You know, and you start to appreciate even being able to get out of bed. You start appreciating being able to get up and go to work. I was only out for a week, but I feel like that week was like a month. It was the longest week of my life. And it was very emotional too because, my son helped me out, my wife helped me out. And these were people that I usually, am there to help and then not the other way around because I really don't want them to have to help me. It's nice that they were able to help me, but dissecting that and seeing, having to be weak in front of them or even really just, you know, having to show um, how being weak in front of them was hard, and it was very polarizing. Like I knew that I couldn't do anything other than depend on them for help, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to have to depend on anybody. But needless to say, I am so grateful for the help that was provided to me. I'm so grateful for the experience this brought to me because it showed me that people like my family care about me. It showed me how much they care about me and how much they wanted me to to be okay. And I am eternally grateful. Now, moving on, there is a quote. It says, um, "The most successful people view failures as data, not as dead ends." And what this means to me is that you have more to learn from your failures than you do from success. You can go out there and be successful over and over and over again, but that would never teach you anything. Okay? So, diving into that, if life is handing you failure, be grateful that you're learning. You're still very much a student of life. You can't just um, succeed and grow from that. People don't grow from success. People grow from their failures. And there's a quote from Thomas Edison that says, "I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work." In this example, Edison was talking about, the light bulb, the modern day startups, and literature through hundreds of versions of successes beforehand. So if we start seeing failure as feedback rather than, um, oh, I'm not perfect. If we start seeing failure as feedback, then the next step is adaptability, meaning we're going to go ahead and fail X amount of times, and then we can learn. It's like when you play in a game and you realize, oh, I'm not supposed to jump, I'm supposed to charge, and you break through the wall, and then all of a sudden you're you're right where you need to be, and there's the main boss, right? The big boss. Well, you found that by doing something different. Instead of jumping, you charge and you break through that wall. We we learn through that failure, and whenever you learn, you're able to break through that wall, that wall that just seemed impossible to get over. You're trying to jump over a wall. Well, then charge. Go over. If you can't go over, go around. If you can't go around, go through. And that's what failure teaches you, and that's what success is about, is learning from your failures. So you can't just succeed, you have to fail. Failure is a crucial component to success. So in dealing with failure, you are adapting and allowing yourself to um, get to success through the steps. You have to go through those steps. So the power of adaptability. So the one thing I need you to understand is that if you are learning to adapt, you have to understand that adaptability is the survival skill of every generation from nature to business. Okay? So there's a quote that goes, "It is not the strongest, but the one most responsive to change." So that's basically stating that in order to evolve, you have to be able to change. If you don't change, you die. And that was a quote by Charles Darwin. Darwin's theory, aka the man who talked about monkeys evolving into man. Um, so adapting to, like for instance, Netflix. Take Netflix for example. Netflix adapting to streaming, um, and Blockbuster refusing to change, basically changed the face of how we watch movies, or even how we intake um, media, right? When Blockbuster refused to change, they died. There's no more Blockbusters, or at least there's only one, right? And yeah, even though we look back at Blockbuster like this wonderful time in our world, Netflix changed the game. Netflix blew Blockbuster out of the fucking water by bringing the movies to you. You didn't have to leave your home, and that revolutionized media. So understanding that in order to succeed, you must change, or in order to to succeed, you must adapt. You have to learn through your failures and adapt when change is necessary. Now, the one thing that most people fail to do is because there's a toxic trait in humanity, is lean on community. Social support reduces stress, increase persistence, and boosts healing. That means that when people are around, you're going to get better. And it's not about the amount of people, it's about the quality of people. I don't need 100 people by my side, you know, just cheering me on. I need at least three good people, just three good people who are not just yes men. They are not just people who are there to say yes to every idea. I need three good people. One to tell me that I'm wrong, one to tell me when I'm right, and one to tell me when to change. Those three people are going to be my biggest assets, the closest, and the most valued. Now, there's a quote that I reference here when it comes to leaning on community. If you want to go far, go together. You need community. So in closing, you have to have somebody around, or at least people around, who are not only going to just back you up, but also humble you in a way. I had I had the pleasure of working out with a good friend of mine at the gym. His name is Miguel. And Miguel is first and foremost a badass. He's probably one of the strongest motherfuckers that I know. Close to me, enough for me to like see and say, damn. I mean, he squats big. He's strong as fuck. He has an amazing physique, but me thinking, oh, I'm doing enough. I'm doing enough with my body. I'm doing enough with my strength. He was close enough to me to say, "Hey man, I want to help you train." And I hated him because he humbled me. He humbled me in a big way. And working out with him allowed me to see my strengths, right? And it allowed me to see my weaknesses. And the gym is not only for, building strength; it's also for addressing your weaknesses. One of the biggest misconceptions is that you go to the gym to get strong or to get gains, right? Yeah, that's part of it. But you also go to the gym to address your weaknesses and to do your best to grow as a human being. And because that man is a part of my community, because my friend humbles me in a way that no one else has, it has taught me that I still have work to do. And I can't fuck around, at the gym thinking, oh, I'm good enough when I still have work to do. I still have room to grow. There's still progress to be made. So, in that statement, community is everything. I have a friend who trains personally on the side, and his name's Estefan. Also, another motherfucker that I would trust with my life, a real badass, and that motherfucker will humble me too. And it's good because I don't want to sit around and think I'm the shit and just gloat and just kind of live in this light that I've created in my head because oh, I've done this with my body and I'm strong now or whatever because you can only go so far that way. You can't grow as a person when you've become so self-absorbed that you've allowed your own self to get in its way. So, yes, being successful on its own is nice, but having a supporting community and having people who can humble you and who will teach you that there's still room to grow are it's so important. Those people are the guiding light that you need in your life. So I am grateful that those people are in my life. So that being said, my next talking point is small wins build big resilience. So for this, I'd like to talk about the fact that micro wins trigger dopamine in your brain, which motivates long term persistence. So, setting up small goals are so important. You have to set small goals in your life so that your brain sees that pattern of set a small goal, reach it, achieve, and overcome. And that's the beauty of it is that you're tricking your brain into thinking that you're winning, but you're also winning in small ways. Getting up and making the bed every day, folding your laundry before that laundry becomes your roommate. Um, you know, keeping track of your calories, tracking your macros, right? Going to the gym at least an hour a day, right? I'm not saying you have to be there 5 or 6 hours. Doing the gym at least one time a day, gymming at least once, is also going to be something that'll help you step up and step in the right direction. So those small micro wins, as I like to reference, motivates long term persistence. There's a quote by Robert Collier that says, "Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. You're only as good as your habits." It's small steps that create the long life journey. You absolutely have to move forward every day. Yes, stepping back and looking at the big picture is part of the journey, but those small steps create the journey. So, yes, definitely setting up small goals and building greatness slowly is going to help you achieve. For instance, there's an example here that says Serena Williams building greatness through thousands of small training sessions, and what she does is she keeps going through those small wins. As we also need kindness, especially towards ourselves. So you can't you can't beat yourself up over the small wins that you don't achieve, right? You just have to keep building those wins over and over again. So the way I see it, you have to allow yourself a little bit of grace when we don't achieve our goals. But when you set up those small goals day in and day out, that's helping you win. That's the big picture. Is you get up, you make your bed every day. You get up, you do laundry. You get up, you go to the gym, or you go for a run. If that's your thing, go for the run every morning. Right? Be part of the 5 a.m. club. That's a big deal. You know, some people don't have the discipline to wake up early every day. If that's what you do, that's your small goal is to wake up early every day and face your day before the sun rises. Perfect. Beautiful. Keep doing that. If your small goal is to lose a pound a week, lose a pound a week, right? That's 4 pounds a month. That's something. If your small goal is to earn money enough to save or earn money enough to put into some sort of high yield savings account or to eventually invest, right? Even if it's just $1 a day, invest and move towards your goal because that's what's going to help you in the long run. And you're going to win over and over again by setting up those small goals. Now, my next talking point is about resilience through routine. Routine lowers mental load, conserve energy, and create stability in a world full of chaos. You have to understand that life, the reality of life is going to throw everything at you, and it's not going to help you get up when once it beats you down. It's going to keep coming at you over and over again. When you set up those small habits each and every day, it's going to help you build that pattern. You're going to feel this guilt almost if you don't do the thing that you need to do every day. Like for instance, I felt I feel correction. I feel guilty that I haven't uploaded a podcast in months. So where have I been? Well, I've been busy with this. I've been busy with that. Well, I owe it to you. I said I was taking you on this journey. Well, here I am. I think Aristotle said it best when he said, "We are what we repeatedly do." If you make it a priority every day to be strong, to lift something heavy, or to be successful and earn money, or to be kind and loving to your friends and family, then that's what you are to people. But if you make it a habit to drink, to smoke, to eat, and to party, and to do God knows what else, then that's what you are. I refuse to let that be who I am. I don't want to be that. I was that for so long. I was irresponsible. I was I was a thorn in my parents' side. I was a thorn in my family's side. You know, I drank, I smoked, Hell, at one point I even did drugs. Am I proud of that? No. But look at the man that I am now versus the man who I used to be. That's what I'm proud of. I was able to cross that threshold. I was able to kill that version of myself and overcome. And now I'm reaping the benefits. I get to look good. I get to be strong. I get to lift heavy. All that is a fucking flex. So, yes, you are what you repeatedly do. And that is a great quote because anything you do with conviction and pride in your heart, you become and you show others. And sometimes, and I'm going to say this, people may see you and say, man, look at that guy. He's an inspiration. Or, man, that guy's fucking strong. Or that guy's brave. Or that guy's kind. But other people will see you and be like, man, fuck that dude. Fuck that guy. And they'll hate you just because you are what you are. Because to them, you're a mirror. And to them, whatever they see in you is something they don't like because it's something that they don't have within themselves. Or maybe it's something that they don't like about themselves. So understand that not everybody is going to fuck with you. Not everybody's going to vibe with you. Not everybody's going to look at you and think, man, what a great fucking guy. But as long as you do it with conviction, whatever it is that you're doing that's good and positive in your life, as long as you do that with conviction, then that is going to set you free. That is going to make you feel good. And fuck what everybody else thinks. Because at the end of the day, who gives a shit about what other people think? As long as you know and you feel it in your heart and you believe that it's right and you're doing it for the right reasons, then it's going to work out. It's going to be right for those people. It's going to be right for you. It's going to be right for the people around you. And the right people are going to fuck with you. And you'll see the people that don't like your shit are just confused fans. They're just confused about them liking you. They're just confused about why they like you. So understand that. Most people hate what they don't understand. So in terms of routine, Nelson Mandela's daily exercise and study routine in prison. Routine gives us structure, but mindset gives us energy. That's where optimism comes in. That being said, when you're constantly doing the thing that you need to be doing, right? When you're lifting heavy or studying something very difficult, and you do that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, optimism comes in. So that being said, you can lift a rock 100 times. At some point, you're just gonna feel good about lifting that rock. I was a little discouraged, and I'll be honest with you. This is just kind of off the cuff, but I'll be honest with you. I was a little discouraged when, I started doing this podcast, and no one really cared, right? No one really listened all that much. I mean, I'd had a few listeners here and there, but I think as long as I stay optimistic, and as long as I have the good people around me, the good people that I want, I think my podcast will make a difference in somebody's life. And if not, it'll make a difference in mine. So, it's easy to get discouraged by doing the thing you continuously do over and over again. And this is not prepared in any kind of way, but this is just me talking to you. I feel that when you do get discouraged, either by what life throws at you or what haters say, or, you know, by failure itself. Failure is very discouraging. When you do get discouraged, just remember to hold fast to discipline, because discipline is showing up when optimism isn't there. Discipline doesn't care whether you're happy, sad, depressed, or angry, or just having a bad day. Discipline doesn't care if you're feeling sick. Discipline overrides all of that. I show up to the gym sick. And I know it's not very responsible, but you know, if I show up to the gym and I'm feeling sick, at least I got a workout in, and then I go home and I rest, right? And if I work out and I get, I get a little bit of boost of energy from it, so be it. But at least I went that day. At least that's a day in the fucking books. Because I know motherfuckers are showing up to work sick, right? And if they're not, they're calling out and they're missing out on opportunity. So at the end of the day, you may not want to do the thing that you're called to do. You may not want to do what you need to do. You may not feel like doing it, but as long as you have discipline, you're going to do it anyways. Because otherwise, you're going to feel guilty about not doing it. And I've done that. I've literally done that. I skip the gym, and then I'm like, oh shit, I skipped the gym. And then I feel bad. I'm like, oh, what are we gonna? And then I'm like, it's gonna be all right, dude. You know why? Because I have discipline. And maybe I don't go to the gym today, but I will be there tomorrow. Just out of guilt, just out of feeling bad. But going back to optimism, optimism helps, but resilience also means transforming pain into something powerful, right? So, moving on, turning pain into fuel. This is powerful. This one's one that I really enjoy. It's a talking point that I I actually use personally. So um, this one is personal to me because I grew up with a lot of pain in my life. I used pain as a tool to grow as a person, to grow my strength. You know, there's times where I'm lifting heavy, and that pain is something that I cling to in a way to really kind of enjoy the beauty of pain and to enjoy the beauty of the moment because pain is suffering, right? Pain is a part of life, and suffering it's beautiful. Suffering is beautiful. You're probably like, why is suffering beautiful? Because that's the beauty. Life is not about having everything perfect and doing everything perfectly. Life is about going through the struggle and having to struggle with good and evil, right and wrong, black and white, night and day. You're dealing with duality, right? And whenever you watch some sort of reality TV show or even some sort of like drama, you you tend to focus more on the struggle and the rebuild of that person during the struggle. So I consider pain and adversity my beauty or my beautiful moments, right? Because when I'm going through it, it fucking sucks. I hate it. I'm angry. Why isn't life good? Why haven't I achieved? Why haven't I've gotten to where I needed to be? Because I'm not ready. The pain of the struggle needs to be implemented into my life in order for me to be forged by the fire. I have to be ready. Success doesn't come until you're ready. If you're a shitty person and you still need to learn from your bullshit, you're not going to go where you need to go because you need to go through the struggle first. Sorry, I'm messing up because I'm congested, but and I'm sorry if I'm like sniffling in your ear, but this is important to me. And I said I was going to do this, but allergies are killing me right now. But yeah, so it says here, there's a quote that says, "Out of suffering, the strongest souls are seared with scars," which is a quote by Khalil Gibran. And there's an example here that says, "Bethany Hamilton's comeback after losing her arm in a shark attack." So, um, I mean, you may see yourself at the bottom of the barrel, right? I'll be honest with you. I could never lose an arm and be okay with going back to the ocean and being like, yeah, I'm gonna go and surf a bunch. You know what I mean? Like, fuck that. If I lose an arm by a shark, I'm staying the fuck out of the ocean. But not everybody did that. And Bethany Hamilton literally was like, I'm not letting that fucking ruin my shit. She went back to the ocean. I couldn't fucking do that. I could not do that. Um, at the end of the day, resilience isn't a moment. It is a daily choice. And you have to make that choice. Okay? You can't just you can't just give up, right? That's for the weak. Now, unless you want to sit there and fold your arms and be like, I don't want to. I don't want to. Lay down and fucking die, right? That's weak. That's fucking weak. I look at people sometimes and I think to myself, I'm like, me and you, we're not the fucking same. We're not the same. And it pisses me off because it's like, I don't want that to be me, right? I don't want to give up. I don't want to just lay down and die, right? But sometimes, I'm like, yeah, fuck that. Fucking, nah, close my eyes. Let me die. But, you know, you have to allow yourself to really overcome the bullshit, right? And out of suffering, the strongest will survive. You're going to overcome. You're going to overcome your suffering. You're going to get past the suffering. You're going to get past the bullshit. Life just serves it to you, and you have to be okay with it. You have to allow yourself to be okay with the suffering. So face it, go through it. You're going to face that turmoil. You're going to have to face the worst. And when I mean the worst, death, right? There's some of you facing that right now. You've had somebody die. And that shit's hard because it eats you up inside. You've lost somebody important. I know I have. And it fucking kills me. It hurts. Because that person will never be here. Not anymore. And that's painful too. But does that mean your life is over? No. No. Uh-uh. Your life is still you're still here. Your life has just begun. And sometimes the pain of losing somebody can feel like the end, but it's not. If anything, it just kind of echoes through your life that your life is worth living. Because when a person dies, you do a disservice to that person by giving up. Because I'm sure if that person could choose, the person that died, if that person could choose to live in your shoes, they wouldn't just fold their hands and give up. So seize every moment, seize every day as if it's your last. Now, moving on to my next topic. Resilience is a daily choice. So, resilience isn't a trait that you're born with, it is a skill that you practice daily. Life doesn't get easier, we get stronger. That's a quote by Steve Maraboli. For example, Elon Musk's near bankruptcy and persistence after SpaceX failures. Like him, love him, or hate him, Elon Musk has done what he's done and has revolutionized not only space or interspatial travel, but he's also put electrical cars on the map. And even though he was nearing bankruptcy, he chose to continue, right? So what does that say about you? How can we look at someone as big as Elon Musk and then look at ourselves and say, what can I learn from this? You do that by taking a step back and looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, what am I willing to do? How much am I willing to lose? What can I do to keep moving forward and to keep going despite what life throws at me. So what does that mean for us? That every day we get to decide how we respond to our setbacks. Life is going to set you back. Life is going to throw you some fucking curveballs. How you respond is everything. So, and this is coming from someone who just sometimes doesn't really know how to respond to things. I'm a hothead. I get pissed off easy. And I don't like confrontation. I get uncomfortable with confrontation, but I'm usually the first one to be confrontational. So, that being said, live your life and stop living so afraid because it doesn't get easier. You just get better at dealing with the bullshit. So, that being said, I'd like for you to maybe drop a comment or maybe ask yourself, right? What's one setback you can reframe right now as fuel for your resilience? Now, this is a call to action. I invite my listeners to share their resilient stories with me. If you've gone through something, which I know there's thousands of people who have gone through some really tough shit. I'd like you, the listener, someone like you, to come and tell me your story. You can either do this by leaving a comment down below or sending me a video or doing a response video or just hitting me up. I will give you my socials and you'll look for me or you find me or you can find me online. I'm easy to find. But I will respond and I will share your story. Now, here's something I'd like to leave with you. Resilience is knowing that you are the only one that has the power and the responsibility to pick yourself up. That's a quote by Mary Holloway. But that being said, thank you for joining me on the very last episode for 2025. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and thank you for joining me on this journey. 2026 is coming up, and I will be more consistent. I promise you to take you on this journey with me. That's the way I see it. I'm Jeremiah, and have a wonderful year. Thanks for watching.